Welcome to class. I'm going to share my screen. We're going to log in. Maybe I can't log in. What are you trying to do, Salesforce? There we go. No, I need both. All right. No, I don't. Let's see. Am I sharing? I'm going to stop the share. Stop the share. All right. We're going to pick up. I'm just switching screens on my monitor. So we can jam on it. Woo! Security and data model. Oh, man. This is the funnest part of Salesforce. Really and truly, when we get past this and you understand this, it's like, oh, a lot of stuff makes sense. And then you just kind of understand what's been happening all this time at Salesforce in terms of, put that over here. It's my little trick. You see my little trick? So what I did is I put Trailhead on a different monitor. So when I look down and to the right, I'll be looking at my trails. So I don't have to look at y'all. I can go from there. All right. So go back to the bubble view. Perfect, perfect, perfect. So let's see where we're at. With trail mixes, I'm going to send you the link in just a second. Phase 3, data security. And I believe we're at the last two, right? So one of the things we talked about is in this world of Salesforce is that you control access. Let's see what the overview says. If there's any pictures in here. You control access to the org, right? Username, password, cookie, and that's something they know, something they have is a cookie or a trusted IP. That is the pass to let you in. So here it is. So the organization, you have your authorized users, your password policies, and the profile can limit the hours and locations a person can log in, but it's not a restriction. It's not a restriction. It's limited permission. Then objects have a cred, right? Create, read, edit, or delete, cred. Now there's two more when you look at it, modify all and view all. That tends to come up. They are just what they say they are. That means a user with that profile permission, regardless of ownership, regardless of your OWD, they can view all records. Now, you can still restrict fields by profile. So you can give somebody access to all records, but you still have the ability to control that field by profile. So remember, everything is profile-based because that's a group of users. All my sales users, all my service support users, all my, engineers, all my speakers, all my trainers. Like, you got to group them together. And, we're not going to get into the business analysis part of it, but that is a big part of it, deciding who gets to see what. But org controls that. Object is cred. Fields are FLS, field level security. And then records are based on the organization-wide default. By default, Salesforce is public. By default, all records are public. Public read write. Because Salesforce likes money. And they don't want you to not give them money because they can't do something they don't know how to control. So better to give you all the control and make mistakes you can come back and fix versus setting it up in a way that gives you no control, but you can't do anything, and then you think it's broken. So when the OWD is set to private, and that's how I'd like you to think about all OWD questions and answers. When the organization-wide defaults are set to private, there's 3 ways to get the records to other people other than the owner. The first is the role hierarchy, because records roll up the chain. Then it's sharing rules, which lives right under the OWD settings, and that shares across the lane. Rules are for, again, like profiles, a set of permissions. A set of rules applies to a group of people. It also applies, because it's a rule, it's rule to rule, it's groups of records to groups of people. And that record could be based on ownership or criteria. Let's see what I got here. Hang on. Okay, so that makes sense? And then manual sharing is individual records with individual people. Now, there's one more way to share that's a little bit more robust than manual sharing, and that's teams, which we're not going to talk about. It's a more like automatic manual sharing. So manual sharing and teams share records individually. So whenever you hear groups of records based on ownership or content, or the data, then it's a rule. Groups of records, groups of users. Manual sharing, individual records with individual users, even teams, because that's just more manual than that. Okay, so I don't know. We're gonna have some exercises. We'll do some of this. Then so we did that. We did fields, we did records. Now we're gonna do the role hierarchy, and then we'll do sharing rules, which should help it all come together. And then we'll look at teams. If it's not in the next thing, we'll just skip and do that. So, all right, hang on a second. I know what I did was wrong. Just gotta try it again. Let's see. So let me go back here. Here, I'm gonna retake my steps. So I'm going to, in my chat, I'm going to paste the trail that we're on. And then we're going to go create a role hierarchy. And then we'll talk about the role hierarchy, and we'll put that into play. Now, those of you, and I mean by Brian, is on the Essentials edition. This is not as relevant, because typically you have too few users to worry about this, right? It's us and them. Really, you got two profiles: system administrator and a custom profile. Okay, so we're going to do role hierarchy. I'm moving my chat around. All right. So we talked about role hierarchy, and it's different than the org chart, because different people in the org, even though they may have a lower level from a hierarchy standpoint, need as much or more access than people in a higher standpoint. And we're going to view and modify the role hierarchy. We're going to create assigned roles, simplify access to records. Welcome, Amy. Thank you for taking care of the puppies. All right, so the role hierarchy works together with the OWD to grant access to levels, access to records, but based on ownership. The users that need to see a lot of data, which would be managers, executives, or operations folks, need access beyond the organization-wide default. But users that need access based on the type of work they do, that can be put together in a group, they can be grouped together, again, group to group sharing of records, based on sharing rules. So again, we're going to operate as if, we're going to operate as if your OWD is set to private. So records you don't OWN are private. You can't see them. You never see them unless you're above the person in the role hierarchy or there's a rule or a person that shared them with you. Depending on the settings, you can also, I think I showed you guys this, and when we do the challenge, I'll open it up again. Remember I said the grant access using hierarchies is only available for your custom objects, which is why I said when it comes to the Essentials Edition, you don't have any custom objects. So it's role hierarchies always work, but you might not need it because you don't have enough people. The most people you can have is 10. So I hurt my hand. You see that? I burnt my hand. That's commitment to my motorcycle right there. I burnt my hand putting air in the tires. Now, so how do you define a role hierarchy? So when you get in the role hierarchy, you can expand it. I don't think, is there a picture of it? No, all right. So anyway, let's open up our org first. I'm gonna retake this challenge. And I'm gonna launch my playground. So if you haven't done that yet, please do. Let's take a look at it. So, ooh, that is tired. All right. So I'm going to go to setup. If you launch your org, if you haven't launched your org and you need more time, please let me know. And that's how you get rid of security alerts. Okay, this one doesn't want to go away. All right. So all of this, not all of it, but this is controlled at the user menu. So when you're in the setup, click on roles. And click on setup roles. And then expand all. So this is a pretty robust role hierarchy. And while it imitates your HR structure, what do I mean by that? The CEO has his board of C-level execs that all sit around his table. And they are in different lanes, right? And depending on who needs to see what, it might be more than just a CFO in the CFO role because of the record access they need. So that being said, just make sure that, and I'm going to expand all of it so you can see it, right? Those are the different lanes. And then everything else rolls up the chain. Okay, so while you want to mimic your HR structure, that's not where all of your users will end up in their role. They might be in a different role because of what they need to see and do for their job. So, so yeah, you can just start with your company's org chart, consolidate titles into single rows wherever possible. You don't need to have a role for everybody. You just need to kind of say, well, that's more of a supervisory, a soft role, not typically the access to records. But again, you got to decide that stuff. Yeah, you don't get the big go away. So we did this. It starts with a single node, but right now ours is built out. So and anywhere you click add role is going to add a role to it. So it's going to click and add a role directly under that one. So we're going to do that we have a CEO role already. Oh yeah, definitely. Somebody cool's been definitely putting aloe in my burn. So it's much better than it would have been had my cool person not done that. Sorry, cool person. I didn't see it until just now. Okay. So let's do it together. So let's see. I don't know. I don't remember. And look, anytime you engage in this, it's like, hey, let's check something out. So I'm going to go to sharing settings. So follow me to share. Do this too. Share. And let's see if we're private or not. Okay, right now, we're pretty private. So in order to make this exercise work, go to sharing settings and click on edit. Now hang on. Okay. So in order to make this whole thing work, I want to shut it down to make it everything a private model. So go to your sharing settings. And let's just turn everything into private. So you can tell that some of them are controlled by the parent. Oh, account and contract. So we'll make that read. I'm sorry. Let's make that one read only. Why? You'll see. Cases and opportunities. Let's make those private. Now, individual is a new thing. I'm not even sure how to use it much yet. I got to do some studying on why they designed it. Uh, we're pretty private here. Oh yeah, these are the ones we created with the read only and yada yada. And again, I can only change custom objects for that allow access grant access with hierarchies, whatever it says. Grant access using hierarchy. So it's like activating the role hierarchy. Remember I talked about manager groups, manual sharing, all those things, right? This is a new one too. That's a whole thing with communities. Guests are part of your communities. We're not going to dig into communities. I'm not certified on that yet. Okay, now that you got your sharing settings, it's going to take a minute to rewrite all the records in the database in order to have it take effect. That usually happens pretty quick in a training database like this, but it takes a minute sometimes. Just Google it and then refresh it and you'll be fine. Okay, not a biggie. Let's go back to roles. I just wanted to make sure we had something to share, and I'm gonna show you what the difference is on some of this stuff. Okay, so I'm gonna go to roles, and then in the roles, as I look at the challenge, we've already got a role hierarchy built. So again, just some of the basic functionality. If you look in the body of the trailhead mix, it's talking about adding the CEO label, selecting who goes in there, the role as it's displayed on reports. So let's just create a role under the CFO. And I actually think if we go down to the challenge, we'll create one for Chief Sales Officer. Let's just do the exercise that we're going to be challenged on anyway. There's no sense duplicating. Okay, so under the CEO, I'm going to add a role. And I'm going to call it the Chief Sales Officer. Now, by default, it fills in all that junk. And it doesn't need anything else. Now, I want you to see the opportunity in case. And I got to explain something to you right now. And that is it's not an exception, but rather the way it is. So I'm going to do something real quick. I'm going to annotate for a second. So remember, we have an account record. And I'm going to format. And I'm going to do that. And that record has 3 other standard objects built in. It's got, I don't know why let me just clear all drawings. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to, I'm just gonna go into a record to show it to you. So let's go to an account record. You can just watch me on this. You don't need to see it. You don't need to like do it. So let me just explain how this works. So if I am the owner of the account, Dominic's the owner. And it's obvious that if I own the contact, the case, and the opportunity, I'll see all of that. Does that make sense, everybody? But what if it's a big organization? What if somebody else owns a contact? You know, I know Jack Rogers, but you know somebody else. They still work at that company. I don't want to create a new version of the account just so I can have a place for my contact. So I'm going to do something real quick. I'm going to change the owner of my account. Ada. So wait, Ada's got the wrong. Hold on. Let me check out my users. Typically, I would know this, but we've been kind of bouncing around, and I'm pretty toasty today. Who's my Ada is active. She's a 4-star. So I'm going to activate that, give them the CEO role, because they're a guest admin. And I'm just going to okay. Why does that matter? Because I want to demonstrate something to you. So guest admin is a whole different person than me, right? They own this account. And I've got read-only access to the account because that's what we set up in the OWD. So I can no longer, can I edit this? I can because I'm an admin, so it screwed me up. Anyway, don't let the admin fool you. Now, if I own the contact, it doesn't say who owns it, but let's look at it. If I own the contact and the guest admin owns the account, let's make sure that's true. I can see the account. Why? Because every contact needs an account. So if the owner of the child does not own the parent, they can still see the parent regardless of the privacy model. So if you're private accounts, then anybody who owns a contact can get read-only access to the account. Make sense? Anybody that owns a case, and that's going to happen a lot with support. Support's going to own all the cases. No salesperson, the person who might own the account, is actually going to own any case, usually. Smaller companies, yes. What are cases? They're problems, usually handled by customer support. Okay, which I hate doing. I don't hate it. I'd rather do student support, okay? So if somebody owns the contact, opportunity, or case that is not the account owner, automatically, no matter how private the model is, they can see the account. Does that make sense? Now, let's go here to roles. When we create that chief sales officer role that's in the hierarchy, right? So we create that chief sales officer role. Did I create it? No, okay. So I'm going to add a role under the CEO. I'm going to call it chief sales officer, reports to the CEO. Notice what I can do. Now, opportunities and cases are private. So they're not the owner of the account. So by default, in the role, you now decide what the default level of access is to the children of the account. So when you're setting up a role, you're only going to have this option for contacts, cases, and opportunities. Why aren't contacts here? Because contacts visibility is controlled by the account, which is read only. And for some reason, it's not showing up here. I don't remember why. I got to go back and look at that. But we can't grant, we can either keep the default the same, that is private, make it read only, or make it read write. Y'all see that? So in the case of a chief sales officer, you know, and these kind of decisions are where battles occur in the product team. Somebody says, I'm the chief sales officer. I should be able to edit all the cases associated with all the accounts that roll up to and through me. Huh. Even if you're not the owner, even if you're not the owner. Argument ensues. Again, you just set it based on whatever's true. Of course, they should edit all opportunities. Again, for all the opportunities they don't own, it just makes sense. So and that's why it's not in the instructions, but I'm doing it because I want you to understand this. So that's one. Reporting to the chief sales officer is the sales strategy manager, the SSM. So go back to my roles. I know I should have done save and new, but I like to show it. So under my chief sales officer, I can add a role. And the next one, I'll do save and new. I'll show you how it works. Again, this one we have to decide. Can they edit all opportunities? Sure. And maybe give them the view-only access of all the cases. Now this time, I'm going to do save and new. But here's what's going to happen. Here's my next role. My training coordinator reports to the sales strategy manager. You see that? So look at the role. I'm going to go save and new. It's going to give me all the same fields that I had before when I clicked add a role, except, and now I'm reporting to the wrong person. So instead of leaving it at the sales officer, I need it to roll up under that sales strategist. I just choose the next role. And then here I might say, look, trainer needs to see it, but he don't need to edit it. Fair enough? So I'll rewrite the roles. Now all there is to do is to assign people to that role. How do I do that? I click assign users to that role. Now in my org, we only have two I only have 2 people, right? So all unassigned users, I could assign to any role I want. You just put people in the role. So I'm going to go back to the role hierarchy. I'm going to explain it one more time. Here's what yours should look like. Under the CEO, there ought to be a chief sales officer. And under the chief sales officer, there ought to be a sales strategy manager. And under that, there ought to be a training coordinator. Any questions? And if you want to change the permissions of each one of those roles, you just click edit, and then you can choose the default. Now, sometimes you might only see 1 or 2 options or none, like we don't see anything for contacts, right? So if I want to fix that, make it different, it's because I can't, if I don't see an option like view all, if I only see view all and edit, it's because the default level of access is read only. So I can't have a no access because the default level is read only. If the default level was private, then it can keep it private. If it's read only, then I'm only gonna have 2 choices. And if it's edit, I'm gonna have no choices because I can't override anything if it's public read write. Is this making sense to everybody? Yay say, nay say. Anyway, that's the default behavior around that account object. Questions? And if you've done it correctly, just click on down the road and get you 500 points. And I'll give you a minute to do that, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I have water. All right, we earned a new badge. Close that down. For a second, I want to go back to that one. I thought we had sharing rules to do. You Mugats? Yeah, we do. Define sharing rules. 15 minutes for defining sharing rules is hilarious. Is everybody good to go with this? Everybody get it right? You needed it? Oh, sorry. Yep, I can. You got to speak up, Amy. If you're chatting, expecting me to hear it, I can't sit. Now remember, this is a good point, that when you log in to Trailhead, if you go to your trail mixes, you'll see, just FYI, you'll see your in progress trail mixes. And we're on phase 3. But we got more to do after this, just so you know. I just haven't built out the rest. Soccer. Shocker, Mom. Because we have formula, pick list administration. That'll get us through the next day or 2. So I'm doing that so that I can go back to, this is the big one here. And all the rest were in data security. And then we're down to now sharing rules. Everybody good to go here? I'm going to pop that in the chat for everybody. So again, sharing rules live under sharing. They're the rules right under the defaults. So if you click on sharing settings, let's see why contacts, controlled by parent, public read only. All right. So what that meant was whatever the parent settings were, whatever the parent defaults were for accounts is what happened for contacts. Anyway, anywho's, are you good to go? Amy, you're good to go now?
No, but I'll follow along.
Okay. Well, I want to make sure you get the first of all, the only place you can restrict access to records that you do not OWN is the OWD. There's no other organization-wide setting, right? So organization-wide defaults are the default access to records you do not own. That's important. We just did the role hierarchy and put people in roles so that the role hierarchy will let record ownership roll up the chain. So you own a record and you're the lowest level in the org. Whoever you report to or whoever's above you in the role hierarchy, directly above, they inherit all ownership rights. And think parent-child. If you got children under 18, they're not legal adults. They can't own anything. Right? So, anyway, OWD. Now, but what do you do with people who are across the lane? That's where the sharing rules come into play. Sharing rules. If leads are private, how do I let other people than the owner share the lead? And then we're going to create rules. Account, and for most objects will have a sharing rule. Okay, so you extend the access. The question is, the three components is which records, with which users, with which level of access. For rules, there's two, for sharing rules, there's two ways you decide which records. Either based on ownership or records meeting a certain criteria. So let me give you an example. If you're a sales rep and you own an opportunity and you want to share all your sales, all your opportunities with all other salespeople, but not customer support people, and not, I don't want more, I want to share my opportunities. I want my opportunities to be seen by other salespeople, not just my boss and his boss and her boss and her boss, right? That's ownership rolling up the chain. I want to also share my opportunities read only with the other salespeople on my team. They need to be able to see what I'm doing. But I can't do that because I want to hide opportunities from support, from engineers, from garbage workers, whomever's in your org. I don't want them to see opportunities. It just drives them berserk. Right? Guys at the factory, production does not need to see opportunities. So I can't share with one and not another unless I shut it down for everybody, and then I can add back a rule. So the rule might be all sales reps that own an opportunity can share visibility with all other sales reps. Does that make sense to everybody? So I'm sharing a group of records owned by sales reps with a group of users who are called sales reps. So if I create those two groups, I can say if this group owns any opportunities, share it with this group, and now we can all mosh pit together. Make sense? So another one to say is, hey, accounts receivable needs to be able to edit all closed won opportunities. So they don't need to see opportunities that are in the fantasy stage. They don't need to see the opportunities in the final battle for negotiation. What they need to see is once an opportunity is closed, one, they need to be able to edit it. Why? Because they're going to collect the money and they need to make changes and adjust and then negotiate. It's another level of negotiation. They need to do their job. That's based on criteria. These group of records, when they hit this criteria, they can then be shared with these people over here. But other than that, they don't need to see it. So who are the users that you're sharing with? Well, there's a lot of ways to define a group. You could pick individual users. You could pick those roles, the roles and their subordinates. You could add territories and their subordinates or any other public group. What's a public group? Public group is made up of individuals, roles and subordinates, territories and subordinates, or other public groups. So groups are just groups of anything can make a group. So sharing rules affect groups to groups. And like I said before, when it comes to sharing your car, you don't share ownership of your car with a friend, right? Not without money, right? That's the universal grease to make things happen. You share it with people who you trust, but do not have the right to edit or delete. I mean, they don't have the right to delete, sell your car. They don't have the right to delete your record or change ownership of your record. So again, sharing only shares read-only or read-write access. So you're only sharing access, not ownership. Are y'all clear about that? You can share access, not ownership. You can inherit ownership, but you cannot share ownership. All right. So let's see. Should we use sharing rules? Yes. All these are, let's see. Let's look through the specific scenarios. Recruiters need to read and update access on every position, candidate, job, and review that occurs in the app. Should they get a sharing rule? Yes. Hiring managers need to read and update access on positions and job posting records on which they're the hiring manager. Can they do a sharing rule? And the answer is no. Why? Because it's only some of them records. What is the condition? On which they're the hiring manager. So it's a different way to give them access. Again, you can't create a rule without certainty. So Salesforce, here's what I love about Salesforce, and here's how it translates to your personal life. When you really master what we're talking about here, you can start applying this to your life, right? I can't predict what's going to happen, so I can't make a rule around it. I got to just let it, I got to decide in the moment, those kind of things, right? So it's the words every or some or individual that really are the defining line. Every always makes for a rule. Exceptional circumstances or the individual circumstances, this manager with that record can't do a rule for that because you can't predict that. It's not consistent. It's not going to happen every time, all the time. So that's what you want to look for on the test. And when we take the practice test, you'll see it. So hiring managers need read and update access on every job. Yes, rule works. Interviewers need read access for people they're interviewing. Nope, because we don't know who they're going to interview in advance. So we can't create a rule. So here are these scenarios that we would create a rule. The review object, we want to edit reviews. Whoever owns it is shared with recruiting managers. They get read-write access. Check. The candidate record and the position record could be owned by anybody in the entire organization. The role and subordinates of the recruiting manager can read and write. Check. The position can edit positions The role, if the position record is owned by the role and subordinates of the recruiting manager, then I'm sharing it with the role and subordinates of the recruiting manager, read, write, access. Awesome. Okay, let's talk about defining a public group. We'll do this in a second. We're actually going to go to groups. I'm going to show it to you first. There's my public groups. Now, two kinds of groups, public groups, chatter groups. We're talking about public groups. I have no public groups. We're going to create them. I'm going to create a new public group. Let's see what they want me to create in the future, because we'll call this group reviewers. Why? Because they're asking for it. So go ahead and do that if you want to follow along in the exercise, because it's going to challenge us anyway, and you might as well do it. So then we have to decide who's a member of the group, right? So I'm in my public group. What am I going to search? Groups, roles, subordinates, and users? And you might be saying, hey man, where's that territory stuff? We haven't activated territories in this org yet. That's why you don't see it. So whenever you expect something that you don't see, you got to ask yourself, self, should this be available? How do I know? Well, the answer is no, because I don't see it. Salesforce is highly reliable. It's not just going to willy-nilly not show you something that's been enabled. So territories are not enabled, so we don't see it. So we're going to look for reviewers from the roles and subordinates that we need, right? So how do the members of the groups? Well, Southwest Dev Manager, the Director of Product Management, the Director of Q&A, and the role and subordinates of recruiting managers. And any of the people that are in that role will then be affected by this rule. Okay? New group. Okay, let's see if these exist. So I'm going to pick roles first. See if SW fits. I don't think it will. Nope. Nope. So in our example, none of these things actually exist. We'd have to create the recruiting app to make it happen. So this is one of those goofy things that I don't like. But hey, let's pick some other people instead. I'm going to call reviewers. Let me look at all my roles and subordinates. Where's my HR? There you go. Anybody in HR is a recruiter. That means anybody in HR is part of the group. And I'm going to click. So that's it. I just created the group. End of story. I didn't pick those roles, but I did it. I did anyway. So again, another thing about this particular group, let me show you something here. Let's say you don't want the roles and subordinates of everybody in HR. You just want anybody that's in the role of human resources, the role, and then I don't think I have. Let's go to our thing, right? So remember we created the sales strategy manager, and the VP or the SVP of, what was it called? Sales strategy. Oh, the chief sales officer, right? The CSO. So let's say, remember there's 3 levels. So I'm going to pick, I don't want the training coordinator, but I want the sales strategy manager to be able to get to this. So I'm going to choose the role of sales strategy manager. Now, let me ask you a question. I've created a group. If I share records with the sales strategy manager, here's where your chatter, you can chat me. Can the training coordinator who sits below the sales strategy manager see those records if I share them with this based on a rule? On a scale of yes or no? What do you think? Again, you can plug in the little checkbox if you want. So if I share records with the sales strategy manager, I need to get my user, all my user options available to me. So here I'm gonna open up my role a second so you can see it. Come on, really? It's fine. So let me throw it. I'm gonna share records. And this is just good to know. I'm gonna share records. It doesn't matter what records I share, right? I'm gonna share records with the sales strategy manager. On a scale of yes or no, can the training coordinator see those records if they're private? I got a couple of no's. I asked a better question. The answer is no. Training coordinator can't see records owned by somebody above them. Can the chief sales officer see those records? Scale of yes or no. Yes. They're private. Now that question has been, all right. If they're private and I share the records with the sales strategy manager, everybody up the chain can now see those records, especially if they came from a different lane. But the training coordinator cannot. So it's one of those little things when you learn it, it's in one of the training classes I teach, that if you want to just share it up like in the middle of a chain, just share it with that role, and then the role hierarchy will take over from there. So again, it's just one of those little things that you learn when you do it a couple dozen times for funsies. Okay, so we created a public group. So now we're going to create a sharing rule based on those reviewers. Okay, I'm going to call the record review records. So Amy, did that answer your question? Like, did that make sense with the role hierarchy? And if I create a sharing rule that shares with this role, does it make sense that they can't see those records?
It does. That was the question I was answering when I said not if they're private. Now that the question, you answered the question, you asked the question again in the more clarifying.
Yeah, no, I wasn't consistent with my question. That's why I'm making sure that I got it right with you, because I know you understand it. But I mean, I had a hunch you understood it, but I know I went a little wacky with my question. I'm a little tired today. Sorry about that. Okay, so now I'm going to create a sharing rule. That's the next thing. Let's see if this is true. If there's one public group that does everything. So let's go to sharing settings. Oh yeah, I want to do this. I want to duplicate this tab. See if this will work. Sometimes it doesn't like the setup menu to be duplicated. So, all right, I'm going to create the sharing rule. I got my sharing settings. And I know I say it a bunch of times because I always say it a bunch of times. Only place you can restrict access to records is OWD. And the reason you restrict access to records is if one user should not be allowed to see one record in any circumstance you can think of. If that's the case, you got to go private. If it's not the case, but they shouldn't be able to edit that record, then you got to go read only. All right, so I'm going to scroll down. I don't know if we even have this particular. We don't even have it. So we'll just use one of our other ones, our energy audit sharing settings. So let's click new here. We don't have the recruiting app built in. So we're just going to use the energy audit app that we did in this org already. This is a disconnect with Trailhead. They got off the trail and started a new trail without our org being up to date with it, right? So we're going to create a new record. We're going to create a new called review records. We're going to create a new rule for the energy audit object. And this will be based on record ownership. And then we'll say, because it's private, any record owned by all internal users can be shared with the reviewers. So which records shared with which group there, and then we're going to give them read-write access. The reviewers are going to read-write access. That makes sense to everybody. So I'm saying I'm going to create a rule that shares my private records that I don't own. So based on ownership, owned by all internal users. So really you're saying any record, but you can't say any record. Computers are dumb. They only do exactly what you tell them. You got to tell them which any records. Any energy audit owned by members of the public group, all internal users, will share with the public group called reviewers, the ones we created, and we're going to give them the level of access of read-write. There you go. Then it's got to write that rule. So what it's doing now, it's going into the cogs and wheels and stuff of the org, and it's looking at all the records that are owned by all the internal users as a group and changing the box from private to say, okay, nobody can see these records except these reviewers, anybody in these roles. So it assigns the role. Boom, there you go. So it's actually assigning record by record. It's doing it magically. All right, any questions? All right, so this challenge is going to take a minute. So let's see what the help is on this. I don't remember. Okay, so before we start to complete this particular challenge, we got to do a bunch of work. 15 minutes, my arse. If you haven't done all these things. So, all right. Nope, couldn't find that page. Nope, couldn't find that page. Thanks a lot. So we just did it. If regardless of completing this challenge or not, I'm not worried about that. But let's see. Oh, maybe we already did this. So let's see. Oh, good. We did all this. So we're not too far off. We created the role hierarchy. I think we created this model. I mean, I know I did. Check it and see if you have. Yeah. This is where Trailhead kind of blows a little in that data modeling module. Okay. So what do we need to do? We need to follow the requirements. So we're going to create a picklist field called priority on the project object. Let's see if we have all that. So I'm going to go to the object manager. Nope. So for some reason, I thought we completed this challenge already. So maybe we didn't. So let's complete it. We're going to create a custom object called project. Nope. All right. So let's create one. Boom. Custom object. We'll call it, whoops, project. How did we miss this one? I don't know. All right, I'm just checking everything because I love checking everything. This one seems like it'd be fine to do that. So I created a new custom object called project. I'm going to click save. Now we got to go back to our sharing settings. No. Got to go through a wizard. So if you didn't see what I did on step 1 of the wizard, I had to choose the tab style. It's an old legacy thing we got to do. Click next. You can leave it default on. How did we not do this one before? I guess I just forgot. Okay. And then save it. Just go through and save all of those. Let me know when you're done. We're going to create that priority pick list field now. Am I going too fast? How are you doing? I'll wait for a second.
A little bit. Hey, what tab style did you just choose?
I picked chalkboard because it was closest to my mouse when I clicked. It literally doesn't matter which one you pick. You just got to pick one. I'll be right back. I'll let you finish up with creating that object, the project object, and then we'll create a field in just a second. Let me know when you're ready to create the field priority, and we'll go from there. Just give me a little chat. Not if they're private now that the question has been. Oh yeah, yeah. I'm singing in the rain, just singing in the rain. Huh. Hmm. All right, all right, all right. How we doing? We're ready to create the field? I don't want to go too fast. I don't want to go too slow. It's always a challenge. Too fast, too slow. All right. So I'm gonna create the field called priority. It's a pick list field. And I'm going to enter my own values. Now I just copied them and I'm going to paste them. Now I like to put another value there. Sometimes with pick lists, it's just a little tip for that. Remember, field level security is always established at the time of creating a field, and you can always adjust it. So pay attention to those things. Now, I think the project object's got to be set to private. Otherwise, we don't need a sharing rule, right? So I'm going to make sure once you're done, that's it. Just make that private, and then you can write a sharing rule on it. Otherwise, you don't need one. Now you got to wait for this to be done. One, two, three. All right, now that the yellow banner is gone, I can go down and create my sharing rule for my project. There it is. We'll create a new sharing. Everybody good to go here? Create a new sharing rule. So we're going to call this project sharing. It's going to be based on criteria. So this is just another way. So we based it on criteria. Just another way to write a rule, right? Just write a rule based on criteria versus ownership. Now look, on the test, there's going to be questions around this. They're gonna, and we're going to go through it when we get to the prep part of the test, but they're going to say things that you're going to try to remember, but all you got to do is do this a bunch of times, a bunch of different ways, and you'll get the finger memory of it, right? So you'll be able to see, oh, I did that. I only made 2 choices a dozen times, you'll remember it. So if the first time you're trying to remember it, don't worry, just do it a bunch more. Practice, just create some rules. No one's going to use this. It doesn't matter. Just create the rules. Create 8 or 10 rules, you'll be fine. In this case, the rule is going to be based on criteria and says, if the priority equals high, right? Then share it with the role read only. Which role? Training coordinator, and give them read only. Now watch. If you share a private record with the training coordinator, again, it's repetition, I'm saying it again. If I share a private record with the training coordinator, who all gets to see it? So look, somebody owns it down here in some really crazy spot, doesn't matter. The priority of that project is high, and the training coordinator sees it. Who else sees it? That's right, sales strategy manager, chief sales officer, CEO, and director. How come? Because that rolls up the dadgum chain. So it doesn't matter who owns it, it matters what condition that project is in. Once a project is high priority, training coordinator can see it and therefore do something about it. Right? Well, of course, public rewrite wouldn't make any sense. So let me just check my challenge, see how that went. You check your challenge, let me know how I do. So let me check my bullshit. My object is project. Here's my project object. And my field is priority. It's a pick list field. So what are they looking for? Yeah, project. Turns out, if you spell it wrong, the computer's too stupid to figure it out. See, computers are dumb. They only do exactly what you tell them. It's a good check, though. It's a good check. I wish all orgs were rigid like this in some ways. All right, that's sharing rules. How you like apples? How you like them apples? Now, there are manual sharing, which I don't think we cover. No, we don't cover, but let's talk about manual sharing for a second. So, I'm sorry, teams. So type in teams, because manual sharing is a little squirrely in Lightning. It doesn't really exist in Lightning. The only way to manually share is in Classic. I don't know if they're going to come with this or not, but I want to make sure you understand teams. So there are 3 teams in Salesforce. And if you type team, you type team or teams, you'll see there's only 3 teams. They're case teams, opportunity team settings, and account teams. You can use teams to create repetitive manual sharing. So when manual sharing happens a lot, you can create manual sharing by using teams, so it does it automatically. So automatic manual sharing is a team. So again, if you go to the home tab and setup, type in the word team, we're now off the reservation of the challenge. I think I already did it. I think I already passed it. Now we're in teams. So we're going to ignore case teams for now. Case teams and the roles and predefined case teams are all controlled by the administrator. Account teams and opportunity teams are controlled by the user, activated by the administrator. So the first thing you have to do is enable account teams. You got to click twice. I don't know why, but you do. Account teams enabled, click save. Now that you've enabled account teams, you have a related list that you can decide. I mean, you can add to all your account page layouts. It's easier to do it with the wizard than it is otherwise. And remember, add to users customized related list. Why would I overwrite? I'm not overwriting, I'm adding it to a user's customized related list. Why? Because if the user knows how to customize their related list, they could take this off. If they can't, they could take what I give them. And if they customize it by accident, they're just like somebody who didn't put it there in the first place. But more importantly, you're honoring the user who wants to customize their Salesforce to the max of their abilities and giving them something that they can decide whether they keep it or not. Everybody can decide whether they want to keep it or not, but only some of them take the initiative and make the effort to make sure they know how to do it. Okay, so I'm going to save that. I'm going to add it to all the page layouts. And now I can define the team roles. So what are the roles? So when I create, let me refresh my page now, because guess what I got on my page now? Now I got account teams. Yeah, I do. So, well, now when I scroll down, I got an account team. So when I add a team member to the account team, I only have a few users. I can give them a role. This role is, it's the same thing. You're deciding which record you're going to share it with. It's individual records with an individual user, and you're setting the default level of access both to the account and the children of the account. Now, again, you can't grant more access than's already been granted by the roles, but Salesforce figures all that out. Roles in the role hierarchy, not the roles in here. So the next thing you have to do is you got to set up the team roles. Those drop-down lists for the roles are right here. So let's say I'm going to click on new. Are y'all here with me right now? So I'm in account teams. I enabled it, and now I'm adjusting the roles. I'm going to add 2 new roles. One of them is dedicated support. And the other is now, why did I add those? Well, because they're dedicated. An account manager is one thing, but a dedicated account manager is something else. I was actually going to do pre-sales consultant, but we already have it now. And if I don't like it, you know what? Oh, you know what? That's redundant. I can just delete it because I didn't use it anywhere. Just delete it and then replace it with something else so that whatever you used in the past gets replaced. Fun stuff like this is what you ought to go off on the rails and do, by the way. while you're doing homework and stuff. Opportunity teams, let's go to that one, and account teams share the same list of roles. So all you really need to do to have opportunity teams is to enable it. And yeah, you only have to click the one and then click save. And then do the same thing, add the opportunity team related list to all the page layouts and click save. So what does that mean? It means when I'm in an opportunity, I can now add people. And you say, why does that matter? Well, in a larger organization, think about what we just did. We said opportunities are private, right? Opportunities are private. No one can see them. Except who? Right. The owner's role hierarchy above them. And then whatever rules we put in place. But when we need other people, say, for example, when I add a product to this opportunity, I want somebody from the product team to join in. Now, if it's everybody from that product team with every opportunity that has that product on it, that's easy. You can make a rule. But if I want to pick a product manager from the product team on this opportunity, that's individual records with an individual user. The only way to do it is to manually share or add an opportunity team member. You say, Dominic, why don't I just add them to the account team? Well, it's a good question. Think about it. I could add my account team. Yay. I could add my default opportunity team. Woohoo. Or I could pick and choose who's going to be on this opportunity. So because of that variability, right? I want people to say, look, I want a product specialist. And then I'll just assign a user. And I'll give them read-write access. Why? Because I can grant them more access than the defaults, but not less. Because the only place I can restrict access to a record in any shape or form is the OWD. So all I can do is grant more than the default. But you might say, well, hey, what if you got a public model and everybody can read, write, and edit? Would I still use opportunity teams and account teams? I'm like, hell yeah. Why, you say? I say this. Look here, let me show you why. So when I look at my list views, right? I've got this list view called My Opportunities. So I'm going back to the basics. These are opportunities where I am the owner. So that's my. But if I want to change the filter to say all opportunities, think about this. All opportunities is any owner. My opportunities is where I'm the owner. My opportunity teams are where I'm not the owner, but not everything, just where I'm a part of the team. This is like a secondary owner position. It's a way to pull out opportunities. You have some type of accountability or responsibility, but not ownership. Let's say you're like a spouse to the record owner, right? It's not your record, but it's your spouse's, and you're responsible and accountable. It's your family's record, so you have some responsibility and accountability. Now, if you're a manager, you want to know which opportunities your team is on. If you're the product team manager, you only want to see maybe the opportunities that your team members are on, not your own, where you're on somebody's opportunity team. Is this confusing yet? If it is, you're in the right spot. If it's getting clear as mud, you're getting better. This is why teams are important. Because even in a public model, if I play a role in an opportunity, I've got to be able to segment that opportunity from all the other opportunities. So if I choose My Opportunity Teams and click Save, I've got no opportunities that I see. Sweet. It means I have no responsibility to anybody's opportunities but my own. Versus I've got no responsibility on all these opportunities. I'm just looking. Versus my opportunities, which I'm saving it back to where it was. Does that make sense as to why you would use teams, even in a public model? I'll take that as agreement. Okay, let's go back to teams. So in the opportunity, teams, that's another way to share records. And when it comes to manual, there is a new feature out or coming out or a component, something in winter 20 or spring 20 that allows you to manually share a record. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to switch to classic. You just watch this. You don't need to do it unless you want to. When I switch to classic and I go to my opportunities, whoops, there it is right there. I have a sharing button. And from here, there's the people who are already getting it. Why are they getting it? Because they own a team, right? But I could add somebody to that list of people who already have it and say, I'm going to share this with a manager group of Dominic Karuba, whatever. I can pick anybody I want. I give them whatever access I want, right? So these are the roles they're playing and how they get access to this record. This is what the system was writing, just like the project object. If I look at all my project records, I don't know, I can create a new project record. So now if I was to share this, the owner has it, and then whoever is a training coordinator has it. Y'all see that? Pretty dope, right? I hear you. I agree with you. All right, let's see if I pass the test. I noted it worked. I saw it. I got read only, sharing rule, life is good. Plus I can add anybody I want and expand it. I could add security user to it and be done with that. See if I got my challenge done. Okay, questions, comments, concerns? That's the security model. It's not that hard, really, is it? What's the matter with my challenge, man? About 15 minutes, Makaturi. I might not have passed the test passed the quiz for some reason. I think I know why, if anything. We're not going to worry about it, though. All right. All right. So that completes the sharing, the data security part of the trail.
Yeah, I don't have all the prerequisites the before you start.
I don't know why either. Did you make them up? Did you do them?
No, I don't have them.
Well,
So-
get on it. I don't know how we missed it either. All you got to do is create that project object. So give it a second. So create an object called project. So you got to do. And then add a field called priority. Pick list. And I have that challenge here. Hang on a second. No, I think you're right. Like it's not. It's a something gapped in this. I agree. There's some gap. I thought we did everything. So it's a weird. It's weird. But again, oh wait, control access to records. Yeah, create a project object, and that's this one. If we did this already, so that's good. I know we did that today. Maybe we missed it. Like maybe I forgot and I just skipped over it. I'm going to blame Gil for that. But I know we did the chief sales officer thing. And I don't know if we created this object relationship. Let me look and see. Do we have an offer object? Nope. Missed it. Oh, wait, property. Okay. So do we have a property object? Yep. So somewhere between property, we missed project and offer object because I don't have an offer object. So I'll let you finish what you're doing and then we'll create the offer object from the earlier one from object relationships. Where's my data? Look at something here. Come on. Oh, you got to be freaking kidding me. So looking for the data modeling one, and maybe I have it in the wrong order. Oh, that's not it. Yeah, we did this one. I must have missed something in here. So I apologize. We screwed it up. Let's just complete this one, the data modeling one. We'll be all right. I just didn't think we missed it, but I guess we did. I'm going to end up breaking these trail mixes into one. I'm going to put them back together in one mix, and then I'm going to break them up into something else. Well, I'm going to put them somewhere else later. So if you haven't done the prerequisite for the data modeling object, well, get on that. I'll do a quick review of it. So data model, Salesforce is just one big replacement of a data table, right? So it goes from looking like this to looking like that. Standard and custom. So we created the property object. We added fields, created custom fields. Then we skipped create object relationships. Somehow we skipped it. So if I go to challenge this one, and it says I took it, but not in this org. I'm going to check my challenge. I don't think I got it. So you guys ready to do this one? And then we'll call it a night. We'll complete this module, which we should have completed weeks ago. Complete this module. And yep, we don't have the offer object. So we have to create an offer object. So what are we trying to do here? So we have a list of our properties, but as we sell them, we also want to keep a track of all of our offers. Offer 1, offer 2, offer 3, offer 4, right? An offer does not exist without a property. Therefore, it creates a dependent relationship, which is a master detail lookup. So master detail works the same as a lookup relationship, except one is the parent, the other is the child, and a couple things happen in a master detail. If you delete the parent, so go all the children. Whereas in a lookup relationship, if I delete the the job application, then and I looked up to see which user was going to be the reviewer for that application. When I delete that record, nothing happens to the lookup relationships because they're not really children. They're just pick lists that live in a live database. I think we lost Brian. Turn. But it's a good picture. So we're going to create oh, we did this. So we're going to create, let's see, good Lord. All right, we're going to create an object called favorite. Amy, this one's for you. Whoops. How do you have a plural of favorite? Anyway. So I'm going to create my first one of favorite name. I'm going to create a new field called favorite name. It's an auto number field, which basically means you get a number. And we're going to display it as so the FA is a little short that you have. And then the dash 0000, and we just start at the number 1. Create the name, make it visible, put it on all the pages. So now we're going to create 2 custom relationship fields on the favorite object. So we're going to see which users select a property as a favorite. And we're going to call that field contact. So now in the fields and relationships of favorite, and I'm going to create new. And this is a lookup field related to users, because these are my users that are adding their favorites, what I gather. Whoops, I'm sorry, related to contacts. Zoinks, Batman. Let me fix it before it goes crazy. Now, I'm really only, like, I don't know this data, but it makes sense a little bit. And we're going to call this field contact. Is that right? Yep. So which contact favorited this property? That's what we're going to end up putting together. I want to know who said they liked it. That's good data. High level of intel. Now I'm going to create a master detail relationship. That is, favorite of what? You can only have a favorite of something that has to be there. So we're going to create another lookup field for the property. However, because it's a required, you can't have one without the other, I'm going to create a new field, but it's a master detail lookup relationship, which another way to say the parent controls the children. So I got my property. Notice it's automatically visible. You can't change it. And we'll hit Save. All right. So now, when I have a property, if somebody favorites that property, I can click on that record and find out who the contact is who liked that property. That makes sense? In the related tab, you'll know who's favorited that property. So now we're going to do the same thing. Once they favorited it, now we can make an offer. I don't know where we created the offer object, but we need to go create that now. So do we have an offer object somewhere? I don't think so. Nope. So we need to create an offer object. Oy, 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 oy. So now we're going to create a mass, same thing we're going to do again, the same thing on the offer object. So the first field I'm going to create is a field for property. It's a master detail lookup. So we'll go back, which this is actually called a, anyway, we'll talk about it later, called a junction object. No, it's not. It's almost a junction object. So this is related to the property. And now I have to create one for a contact. This is just a lookup. Because when the contact will persist, but if I lose the property, the offers and the favorites don't matter. So that's all I'm doing. I'm creating contact. And the contact will have offers. But if I delete the property, the contact still remains, but the offers and the favorites don't. So now my hunch is this will pass the test. How much fun was that? So I don't know how we missed that before, but we missed it. And there it is. Now we got it. Woohoo. Let me know if you have any trouble with it, but let's complete that exercise. And then the last thing is work with Schema Builder. That challenge is a test, so do that on your own. But I'm going to show you Schema Builder real quick. In the Object Manager, if you click Schema Builder, it's a great place for it now. It's probably the best place I've ever put anything, it's right there. So remember, you could have all your custom objects, right? Look at that. So wait a minute, let me. So on the Schema Builder, it just gives you a visual palette of, like, here's all the stuff that I created, right? So again, if I have a property and I've got contacts, right? Then where are my contacts? Oh yeah, I got to add contact. Okay. All right. So I've got an account and I got a person in that account. Right? So here's the Karuba household and there's Amy. Well, Amy has been looking at properties. And projects live over here. We haven't connected the project to any of these projects yet. Right? She's looking at properties. She can favorite one and make an offer on another. It's all good. It's still Amy doing it, right? That makes sense? So she's the one making the favorite. She's the one doing the lookup. If I lose the property, the offers and favorites have to go away because they're master detail to the property. They don't exist. Offers and favorites don't exist without the property record. I'm not talking about the database, but just think of these as individual records. But Amy stays. She's just a lookup relationship. Just the lookup hookup. She's still a member of that account as a contact. So while we're using her in other places, she wouldn't get deleted as a record because it's not a master detail relationship. Does this picture help by any chance? All right, cool. So we did a lot today. This is a big day. If you're behind, you have questions, just schedule some time with me. I got some time on Wednesday for sure. Thank you guys for your time and attention. Again, I'm posting these videos in the playlist on YouTube. So if you got a link to one, you got a link to all. And I'm behind by a couple because we had some glitches and I got to go find them and I'm gonna have to redo them. It's probably the ones we missed. So which is why lots of things happen. So anyway, thank you for your time and attention. I love you all. Take care. And I will see you.
Thank you.
Bye.